Good evening, and welcome to the St. Petersburg By Night podcasting network. Tonight, we present to you our Vampire the Masquerade chronicle, Mementos.
Welcome to another St. Pete by Night revamped production. The following is rated for mature audiences and may contain graphic themes that will be distressing to some viewers. As always, we recommend you ensure the safety and well-being of yourself and those around you at all times. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the St. Pete by Night YouTube channel where we play St. Petersburg by Night, a massive multiplayer tabletop role-playing game set in the world of darkness. We play Vampire the Masquerade, Hunter the Reckoning, and Werewolf the Apocalypse. My name is Nikki, also known as Crafty Mirage, and you can find me on all social media at Crafty Mirage, and I am one of the storytellers here at St. Pete by Night. Make sure to check out St. Pete by Night on all of our major social media platforms. We're on Twitter, also known as X, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, and we're on Twitch. But you should check us out on our website, stpetebynight.com, where we have our city map, storyteller profiles, and our one-of-a-kind threat meter. You can also find us now on all major podcasting networks and listen to us at your leisure without a screen. If you aren't already a subscriber here on YouTube, you should go ahead and hit that follow button and catch up on our past episodes. And if you're interested in playing with us, come join our Discord server and be a part of our amazing community. Today we are playing Mementos, our Camarilla Chronicle here on St. Petersburg by Night. Let's go ahead and introduce our players.
Hello, I'm Lilith, and I play the not-so-friendly neighborhood Lisha named Leaf.
Hello, I am Rowe. I play the friendly, nerdy Nosferatu, Shaun Allen.
Hi, my name is Panshi, and I play the tall, white, friendly Nosferatu, Wally.
Hey, I'm Lisha, and I play your friendly neighborhood brewhop, Parker.
Last session, our coterie met with the salubri known as Ramona and got a little bit of insight into her situation, and we're trying to figure out a way to provide her with some safe harbor while our Tremere, who has strangely disappeared for the week in Cancun, while our Tremere went ahead and made plots to capture said salubri. Leaf went ahead and called in a major boon to the Principal of Faith of St. Petersburg, Marguerite, in order to provide Ramona with a safe harbor for at least 2 weeks. while our Tremere Emeric wished to bring her to a safe house that he would not disclose the location of to the rest of the coterie. Ultimately, Ramona decided to go with Leaf's idea of going to the Principle of Faith for sanctuary there, since she didn't really have much of a choice in terms of leaving, as Emeric had arranged to have one of the kine lure the other two kine that Ramona had brought with her away with her car keys. On their way to the Clearwater area where the Principle of Faith's domain was located, Emeric had texted both his primogen and the curator of the Carmelita Nielsen Library, both of Clan Tremere, to inform them that he had the package and was en route, and provided the exact route that the car was taking. Upon missing a turn that would have taken them into the Principal Domain's territory, Leaf and Ramona pulled a gun on Emeric and Lanny, his ghoul, suddenly very concerned as to the direction that they were going. Emeric stopped the car and left it abandoned on the side of the highway. And as the rest of the coterie attempted to try to make the vehicle start going again, the Church of Scientology vans had arrived, and that left the coterie with no choice but to flee. Leaf, suffering from a harm compulsion, chose to ground her feet to the ground, dig her feet into the ground rather, and take a shot at Emeric, while Wally, Shaun, and Parker attempted to flee with Ramona. Ramona was not swift enough and did not trust the rest of the coterie to go with them. She turned in the opposite direction of where they were fleeing and incidentally got captured and apprehended by the Church of Scientology. And as they stopped to pick up Emeric, they drove into Clearwater into the safety and security of the Chantry. We now go through the next 2 weeks, beginning with one scene between Leaf and Marguerite.
Hello, I am Mouse, Rage Mouse on all things that matter, and I play the quite friendly neighborhood Lasombra, Marguerite Fearson.
Tonight's scene takes place the following night. Leaf, you needed an evening to cool off and collect yourself before facing the Principle of Faith, the individual responsible for you in this city while your sire was still in Chicago. The Sunset Vigil is a building that you have been to before, and you have not let Marguerite know that you are en route. You had just come from seeing and speaking to another individual of your clan, the city scourge named Hush, and then made the decision to go and speak to Marguerite. Sunset Vigil is as described by Miss Fearson. If you'd like to go ahead and describe what Sunset Vigil looks like for the audience, Marguerite.
The Sunset Vigil is very small, with a small parking lot, but surrounded by a lot of secluded area, like an open field and high fences. It is very chapel-like, but no steeple. If you go inside, you find basic sitting with comfy chairs and a reception desk. And when you look to your right, you see a chapel space, typically done up in white with no religious iconography, but lots of flowers.
Leaf, as you enter the Sunset Vigil, you see that there is a young woman seated at the desk, her named Sarah, that you have spoken to in the past. And she looks at you in surprise, recognizing you. Oh, Miss Leaf, was Miss Fearson expecting you tonight?
I'm sure she was definitely expecting me.
Oh, just one moment then. And you see her nervously get up and, looking very uncomfortable around you as compared to last time. For some reason, you've noticed this in the past, like ever since you lost some of your humanity, that the mortals seem to be a little bit more uncomfortable around you for some reason. But she stands up, moves, and goes over to where you know Marguerite's office to be, and says a few quiet words through the crack in the door before looking to you, Leaf, and nodding. Miss Fearson will see you.
Thank you. And Leaf will just walk straight up to the door and politely knock.
Enter.
Leaf will enter, trying to look as blank-faced as possible, and takes a seat in front of Marguerite. Good evening, Marguerite.
Good evening. I was not expecting you so soon after all the information I received.
After all the information you received?
I couldn't help you with your problem after the Tremere became involved. Has there been something else?
Other than me just trying to figure out what the fuck was up with all of that. And at this point, Leaf just is trying to remain as polite as possible, but she is very, very upset.
Marguerite would get up from her seat behind the desk and she'd come around to the other chair sitting in front of her desk that you didn't take. What troubles you?
Why couldn't you help?
What power do you think I have to interfere in the business of other clans, especially within their own territory?
I know that you have probably more power than you think, and that there are many here that look up to you. And I have seen with my own eyes you sway court.
I have been involved in this particular topic that seems to be trending in the city, and you are not the first to seek my help. And you are not the first to have things go awry from poor decision making. I have been wanting to help as much as I can, but once they were taken into their territory, only the prince could force anything, and even then, that's a bit of a parlor trick.
Why did the Tremere want her so badly, Marguerite?
I will admit that there are certain things that even I am not fully knowledgeable of, but I have been given the impression from others who have come to me involving the Salubri that there is a long-standing curiosity and control interest between the Tremere and the Salubri. The Tremere have some desires that are clan-wide, that they seem to believe the Salubri are a solution to. When Marguerite says that, it is very obvious that while she's being tongue-in-cheek, what she's talking about does disgust her.
What happened to the entire clan?
I could think of many things, and I'm sure I wouldn't even get close to the truth. But the only way forward now is either to risk yourselves, perhaps seek help from others in the city who have been doing as you have. It is my understanding that their presence in the city was not brought forth to the appropriate hierarchy, and so from the start, this has been a mess. I don't know if it would be the wisest advice, but you could plead your case in person through proper channels and contact the Tremere. Just as you had a boon from me, you could possibly negotiate one from them in order to free the Salubri. But they seem to be a very valuable commodity in the Tremere's eyes. I don't know what you could offer.
The closest kindred I had to being a friend just betrayed me. And the coterie, and the one I swore to protect, all for his clan. I do not think that negotiating with any of the Tremere will be beneficial. I am, however, gathering as much research and trying to talk to as many as I can to get some semblance of support to bring this up at the Elysium coming up soon.
Have you sought any of the primogen of the other clans? See what their interest in this particular very interesting predicament the city is in? I wouldn't be surprised if some of them had an interest in having something terrible not happen to those.
I have not been able to do that yet. I do not have the proper communication channels. Is that something that you would be willing to help me with? Because I want to fight this, and I haven't given up. This is something that is very close to what's left of my heart. And from what I do know, it's been an outrageous injustice and disgusting experience.
Out of character, so Sarah could tell that she is of lower humanity and is quite wary. Does
Sarah, you will have seen a. Can you roll me a wits and insight actually? For Sarah.
Okay.
Not for Lee, for Sarah.
Who?
You know Sarah fairly well. You know she's a very, you hired her because she has a very warm and friendly demeanor that is very helpful for the kind, especially in this line of work. She's a warm personality that brings comfort to many in difficult times, like in the arrangements of saying goodbye to a loved one. You never have seen her this uncomfortable around anyone, even among the kindred that have regularly visited you. She is your ghoul. She is aware of the situations of the city, but she has never really acted like this around anyone before, except maybe Isabel.
You seem very concerned with the well-being of others. And she'll be kind of looking at you strangely, like she doesn't, like you're a puzzle.
I was set back on the path I was meant to be on. After I looked too close into the abyss. And at this point, Leaf will drop her blush for a moment before activating it once again, and I will roll for that.
So, Marguerite, when Leaf drops her blush momentarily, you are presented with the typical paleness, deathly state of a kindred who hasn't blushed before. But what you do make note of is something that you have seen only a handful of times amongst those of your clan and of Isabel after she took your oblivion from you and replaced it with your true faith. The telltale signs of oblivion, corruption in the form of black veins around the eyes.
One second.
I also rolled for that rouse check for the blush of life, and I passed.
Okay.
Sorry, I rolled for myself because I was like, I wonder how she'd react. She's gonna do a bit of a shocked face, bring her hand to her lips, and just be like, oh my, when did this happen?
When we captured the handmaiden, I needed to make sure that the job was done. And done efficiently. And I almost didn't make it back out because of that.
She would nod, and she will, more out of habit, reach over to touch your hand in comfort, but she will hesitate and try and make eye contact in the sense to be sure that you are comfortable with her being so familiar with you.
Despite her oblivion's reaction, Leaf would meet her and hold her hand.
I can, in fact, introduce you to any city leader. I would have to make an appointment to do the introduction, and I can be present, if you wish, for any of them. But that is something I can help with. I can't promise they will all be prompt on choosing a time to be seen, but I can at least get your foot in the door. Now, as to your friend, a member of your coterie, I take it? who betrayed you?
Yes.
I
We
know
didn't-
you. Go ahead.
We didn't have much time to talk about the situation. And I haven't had a chance to discuss anything about myself, really, and my own ideals. So I'm sure he's very confused, but I'm also very angry at him.
I will not defend, but I will at least be realistic in the truths of our world. You may have felt that there should have been a deeper loyalty amongst you and your coterie, but there are some who will have to balance that with the loyalty to their clan. There is secrets in every clan, and they are well kept, even with our closest friends. I have some secrets that, even with how open and honest I can be, I keep to protect others. I'm not saying that perhaps the way things planned out was the best case scenario, but maybe hear them out and give them an opportunity to be more honest with you before perhaps making a brash decision. And I know you probably would rather be vengeful first and questions later, but that tends to cause more problems than fix.
I may have already chose the vengeful route first, ask questions later approach, and it has definitely already made things very messy.
Have you taken a life?
Thankfully, kindred don't die when you shoot them.
Well, maybe not just once, but you shot him.
I lost a lot of my reserve and control in the moment. And I shot him out of pure rage of the situation. As we were being surrounded by Church of Scientology vans. And in my brashness, instead of protecting the one I promised, I turned and watched her get taken by the very people I promised wouldn't take her.
She'd give your hand a squeeze. I'm sure that was very hard. But you're doing the right thing now. You're trying to find a solution that won't make things worse. And maybe a bullet will give him something to think about.
Yeah. Probably thinking about how he can never trust me again.
And nor you him.
Well, I'm sure it'll resolve itself in some way, shape, or form.
Who would you like to meet first?
Do you know of any who are more on the side of the Salubri than on the side of the Tremere?
Marguerite, you would know from your meeting with oh god, what was his name? 1 second. With your meeting with Arthur, that the Primogen have already that the deputies have begun the process of reaching out and speaking with the Primogen on behalf of the Salubri. In fact, you were one of the final people that they reached out to.
I will divulge to you that I have been contacted by the deputies. Some amongst them and others have begun a process to try and catch up to the appropriate order of things. They have communicated with all of the Primogen, to my knowledge. I don't know who were the pros and who were the cons, but it's my understanding that the proper channels are being followed now, though they weren't at first. As far as you trying to help, I would say it might be better to have you and your coterie give a full report to the sheriff's office and to get in contact with the deputy to see how you might help them in case something you do on your own might get in the way. It is better to work together. I assure you, the deputies seem to be just as determined as you are to ensure the Salubri's safety.
All right. I will bring this up with what's left of my coterie. And we will go through the proper channels instead of trying to do this on our own.
The reason the deputies came to me is because things were not being done as they should have from the start. And it would appear that everything that has gone wrong for the errant Salubri in the city has been because many individuals thought that they could do it a different way. And it has only turned out to make them even more in danger, because some would say they have already broken the traditions and that there can be no other way to deal with it unless they want to escape or find themselves under the thumb of the Tremere. I urge you and your coterie to not get ahead of yourselves and cause even more problems. If things can be corrected through the proper channels with your extra support, there could be hope. I wanted to protect them. I truly did. And I would have if they had gotten here.
Elif sits in silence for a moment, kind of having an inner battle as she desperately tries to cling on to the last remnants of kindness that she is capable of feeling. And the lack of humanity that doesn't care about anyone's feelings and just wants to get the job done in the most straightforward way possible. I appreciate you saying that, Marguerite. I do find it hard to fully believe you right now. And I do not mean that in an offensive way.
It's
This
hard
is-
for anyone to believe in hope.
I started off with a lot of it. I started off with a lot of ambition and a lot of hope and a lot of drive to create something new. And now I'm just struggling to even care about wanting to do any of that anymore. But this is the moment. This is the deciding time for me personally on whether or not I can still cling to what's left of my humanity or be consumed by the abyss that's been given to me.
I can tell you from experience that the saying is true. It is always darkest before it's light. You are going to, if you do things right, you're going to have a very long afterlife. You're going to walk this earth for a long time and have many moments where you feel so much hope and confidence, and yet you are striving for so much more. And then again and again, you will find moments that seem so low and so dark. It is a part of this life, even mine. I do not wish being consumed by the abyss on you. I have spoken with it and known it in my own personal way. And I hope to never hear it again. But there is nothing wrong with finding balance. You have to strive for that humanity, though. You have to keep reaching for others. I know that there is a chance that you could be betrayed again. But forgiveness is one of the hardest things for any living being to do, dead or alive.
Leaf just sits there in contemplative silence once again, honestly at a loss for words.
Marguerite has that effect on people.
It's at about this time that Sarah pokes her head into the office. Miss Fearson?
Yes, Sarah.
Mr. Russo wishes for an audience and is asking that you go to the Fine Arts Museum as soon as you're able.
Yes. She's gonna look at Leaf. Is there anything else?
No, I will. Here. Leaf will scribble down. Yeah, another new phone number on a little notebook that she always carries with her, and we'll rip it and hand it to Marguerite. If you are able to get a meeting set up soon, I will be talking to my coterie very shortly, and I'm sure that they'll all be on board with talking to as many as we can to protect the Salubri.
I will get you in touch with the deputy most involved. You will hear from me.
Thank you, Marguerite. And thank you for keeping an eye out on me.
Don't lose hope.
We transition now to Parker. Parker, it's been a couple of days since you fled from the scene of the Church of Scientology's abduction. Not knowing what to do, you went back to your haven and you hid for a little while until things died down. This evening, you find yourself still in the haven. Scott is present, and he is on the couch watching TV. He has noticed and noted your behavior over the past couple of days, but has been waiting for you to approach him at your own pace. What's going on in your mind right now?
Parker is a little bit worried about talking to Scott. She was kind of hoping to figure out more of what was going on first, but that isn't happening, so she thinks it's time to talk to him.
He'll be sitting at the couch. Would you be doing the little the teenager thing of like when they'd want to talk and they're kind of hovering but don't fully go in yet?
100%. Yeah, like sitting on the end of the couch, kind of tapping her foot, looking a little like she wants to talk but doesn't want to start the conversation.
He just casually reaches for the remote and pauses it. He's actually watching Queen Charlotte, of all things, on Netflix, and looks over his shoulder at you. Yes, Parker?
So, if I tell you something, will you promise not to get mad?
You can't ask someone to promise that before telling them what it is, but I will do my best to not have the most adverse reaction.
Okay, I guess that's good enough. And she'll kind of hop over the back of the couch to sit down. Well, something's up with the coterie, and it's a little weird, and I don't really know how to deal with it, because I don't really know them very well.
Well, what seems to be the issue? They seem to be a interesting group.
Yeah. Well, Emeric kind of ditched us in the middle of trying to get to Ramona, or we had her and we were trying to get her to safety. And Emeric just kind of ditched us, and then Leaf jumped out and then, like, the Church of Scientology showed up and Leaf said they were bad and we should run, but she was also shooting at Emeric, and then I ran and I don't know what happened after that.
Oh, okay. So first off, yes, the Church of Scientology is bad, not just in kindred politics standards, but just in general. I don't trust anyone that I don't trust any religious organization that charges you to be a part of it. Plus, that whole neighborhood is way too clean.
I know, it's weird.
Yeah. Plus, I don't trust any place that is set up right next to both the police station and the bus stop. Just super sketchy. But, sounds like you might have gotten involved in some inter-clan politics from what I'm picking up.
Yeah, so, like, what is all that? Like, is that like a Tremere La Sombra thing? Is that something to do with the Salubri? What is that?
The what now?
The Salubri.
What are those?
I don't know. They said that's what Ramona was.
I honestly have no clue. Never heard of it. That's something a little beyond my grasp. But, from what I know about the Tremere, not a lot of positive things to be said there. I know that the Gangrel don't like them. I know that the Nas don't like them. Seems like I've heard about them being referred to as Diet Kindred at one point. I don't know why. I haven't really looked into it. But they seem to be a controversial topic amongst some kindred.
So, do you think that's why Emeric ditched us?
One thing I do know about the Tremere is that they have their own inter-clan politics. Most clans have their own inter-clan politics. We have the Bruja, we have our things too, but the Tremere are a little bit more organized in sort of like a pyramid scheme sort of fashion. Like, there's like the guy on top, and then there's the people below them, and then there's the people below them. And from what I understand, it's kind of like a cult, is how I've heard it described. And they all kind of, they're just like, they're very clan before everyone else.
So, maybe Emeric had to go do something for the clan?
Possibly. I mean, it's like I tell my guys during the meetings whenever they're squashing old beef. You gotta listen to each other's perspectives before trying to beat each other up in an alley or in the yard. Like, there might be something that going on with Emeric and his clan that you all don't have the full picture on. Every clan has their stuff.
What about Leaf? Like, she shot at him.
Well, what do you think what were the circumstances that led to that moment?
We took a wrong turn. And
Okay.
everybody got mad about it? We were trying We were trying to get Ramona to Marguerite.
The little lady?
I don't know. I haven't met her.
I've seen her once. She's like church lady. I don't know. She's tiny. Looks like a doll.
So, you think that we should all just try to talk about it first?
Yeah, I think it might be worth just talking to each other first before jumping to conclusions on anything. I do know that whatever the fuck is going on in the city, that there's going to be an Elysium about it, so that's gonna be fun. We haven't had an Elysium in almost a year.
That's like a big party, right?
It's kind of like, you know, the Met Gala?
Yeah.
It's like that, only they mixed politics with it.
Gross.
I know, but try it if you're. I think we should probably go, just to make an appearance for the clan at the very least. Maybe you can meet the Primogen.
How many of us are there?
There's quite a few of us, kid. In our clan alone, I think there's... Let's see, we have our Primogen. We have you, we have me. I think there's about 5 of our clan alone. I couldn't tell you how many of each other clan there is. You'll never know how many Nos there are.
So, we have a big politics party and talk about politics?
Well, the prince and the council talk about political stuff that inform the city of decisions being made. And sometimes they ask the court to speak on behalf of some form of some, I don't know, topic, subject, whatever. I haven't actually been to an Elysium in this city. I don't know how they're fully done. But at the very least, you can meet some people. Get your face out there. And maybe listen and learn some things.
Do we have to dress up?
You can.
That might actually be fun.
I mean, I'm not gonna go full Toreador. If that, like, ever. I'm probably just gonna show up in some slacks and a shirt.
They're the pretty ones, right?
Yeah. That chick you met, Carmen, she's one.
She was very pretty. What's with her?
She is a bitch.
Yeah, you said that, but, like, how do you know her?
I went to her club when I first got here. And I didn't know who she was, and I may have done a little light flirting with her, and then accidentally spilled some wine on her dress. She was wearing a white dress. Why do you wear a white dress in a nightclub?
Because you stand out.
Yeah, she likes standing out. But she has not let me forget that I ruined her dress, and it's stupid. I may have also talked about how bougie the place was and may have and pretentious before finding out that she owned it, and before realizing that it was a succubus club. So I kind of kind of pissed her off in the sense that I insulted her business.
I don't want to go see it now.
It's a nice place, but super bougie and pretentious. Not my taste. I prefer that asylum place further down the road.
You gotta, actually show me places around here.
Alright, how about this? I will take you on a drive and show you some local haunts. I'll show you where De Fuckface Noche is. Show you where the asylum is. I'll show you where the rage room is. That's a great place for our clan. And on Elysium night, I will introduce you to the Primogen. He is actually pretty chill. He wears a suit and he's super clean and refined, but he cares for the clan. And he will 100% hide a body for the clan.
I won't need that, but it's good to know.
It's like the fucking bat cave in there, I swear to God.
Oh, let's go. I'll get the keys.
Alright, let's go. I'll show you some places. Alright. And with that, Scott takes you on a drive and shows you the local places and establishments that the kindred of the city generally can be found at, both in the neutral zone and in camp territory. Most of them would require an ID, but he's not dumb enough to not realize that you already have a fake one and you can't drink anyways, so he's not worried about you sneaking in. We move on to our next scene of the night. Shaun and Wally. The two Nosferatu cousins have decided this evening to get together and discuss the goings-on of the coterie and all the shit show that they have found themselves in this city. The scene is yours.
Well, where are we meeting?
Where would you guys like to meet? Did you have a destination in mind? Would you prefer to have this conversation at the Nosferatu Clan Haven, or would you like to have it in the coterie?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Let's keep it in house.
All right. So you go ahead and we'll say that you had your discussion, Wally, with the Nosferatu Primogen Alistair by this point. You've reported to him, and he's given both you and Shaun the information that there will be an Elysium in the coming weeks to discuss the issue of the salubri that you have reported on. And that there will be an opportunity for kindred who wish to speak on behalf or against the salubri to speak. But you are at the coterie haven, the clan haven, rather, and you've finished speaking to Alistair, and you have a moment, the two of you, to discuss some things.
I presume there is a couch somewhere or a table with a chair?
Yeah, there's definitely a couch. Alistair keeps this place pretty comfy.
Wally's gonna shoot Shaun a look and throw himself rather dramatically in the couch. What a bloody disaster, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I still don't really understand why. Like, for one, what the fuck is a salubri, and why does the Tremere have a hard-on for her?
Oh Lord, you did not know. You really did not know what was going on.
Should I know what it is?
Well, he's going to sit up straighter on the couch and look at Shaun. Do you know what the Tremere did to us?
I mean, kind of. Like, who doesn't?
Then Tremere are prone to propaganda and dealing with shady business.
I mean, that's kind of why I went with like the majority on the shit show that happened. But again, I would kind of like to know why, especially if we're going to be talking about it.
So here's the catch. The Salubri are a different clan than us. It's a whole equal but other breed, just like the Tzimitzi ones. They are not very much liked in our the political setting, but they are also called the Soul Stealers, something of the sort, Soul Suckers, which is a very interesting name. As I mean, if the Tremors are called the Warlocks and can do the shit with the blood, what can you imagine of a clan that calls us Soul Stealer, Soul Sucker? And it's very much has a bad reputation in the Camarilla, and the ones that were selling that bad reputation is the Tremere, so that is very much vested interest there, I would say.
I mean, if they're so bad, then why were we defending one instead of getting the mission done? Or does this have anything to do with what we need to get with the journal?
But that's the point. It's propaganda.
Everyone has propaganda.
You're military. Propaganda is oftentimes used to dissuade people from the truth.
Propaganda is just what it is. Like,
it's manipulation.
America's founded on propaganda. Everybody has propaganda, but
I'm over American. You can't use that card on me.
Okay. Again, like propaganda, Salubri, Tremere, we need the journal. How does this all mix in together? Like, what are we hoping to gain from this Salubri?
Well, I was hoping to gain information that Emeric took from me. That's from sorts. I do not much appreciate him changing the plans that way. That is very unprofessional. I need to have words with him. It was not in the contract that I signed to come up here for. Like, really, professionalism. Let's work. And for the sorts, I do not know what the Tremere want with it. I am very curious about it. And you should too. It's a secret. We should look for them. It's a political secret, yes. But they are able to have this third eye that bleeds on their forehead, so it must mean something. It is very interesting, the occult knowledge that they must have. And if she's after the journal, and this doctor has this accent from the journal, there might be something about the Salubri in the journal.
Are you trying to manipulate me, Wally?
My dear, I wouldn't manipulate a fly if I wanted.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm like interested in learning more about this Salubri. I need to learn more about this Salubri, especially if it's going to be a topic of interest at the Elysium. But just the way you're portraying all this to me just seems like you're trying to propagandize me, or whatever that word is.
Maybe I'm trying to anti-propagandize you. Because it's sold as a very, very bad clan, just as the Tzimitzi are technically very, very, very bad, but at the same time they're awfully fascinating. And as any other clan, we have actually rights to be in the city, unless politicalities got in the way. I mean, you're American, I wouldn't make you or try and hope to make you believe that a person is bad after you've seen propaganda telling them is bad. I've seen the wars you fought. It doesn't work that way. Your propaganda is way too strong for that. And Wally is openly mocking the United States military. Like, openly.
Shaun, would you say you have that's a little bit of a hot button issue for you? A little bit.
Everybody has their opinion on the military, but come on.
All right.
Okay, but like I'm interested in learning about this salubri, and propaganda and bullshit aside, and, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has them, and they usually stink. But we were sent on a mission to get a journal, which obviously the salubri does not have. Someone very much more dangerous to us seems to have it, and we need to find a way to get it back. What would the salubri acquiring it, especially now that the Tremere have her, how would that benefit us with getting the mission completed?
Oh, not at all. Nothing. She's basically useless, yes. It's more just my thirst for knowledge, and now the very interesting political setting we have in the city. It's very peculiar, and apparently Leaf feels very, very, very upset with Emeric about that. I wonder if Parker made it safe. I don't know. But honestly, for the mission, nothing at all. We know it's with the FBI. We need to find a way from getting it there. Mr. Oscar Vasquez, I have the contact. By the way, I need to talk to the group about that. I have secured Dennis a very much nice trip and sponsorship in London, so we can get that out of the way.
So,
Otherwise, no. She has no use for us than just being a nuisance in our inter-coterie relationship-esque business.
we could safely put her on like the fucking back burner, and while we try to figure out like contacts or anything that we can get close to the FBI, try to retrieve the journal if it's not too late, because
Yes, of course. She is very much the back burner. Alas, and you heard Mr. Alistair, the city's holding an Elysium for it. And apparently she is big shit. So apparently the actual mission went to the back journal. So unfortunately, things got quite a bit muddy, which often happens with politics. That's why I hate them. I just wish you had information, like if we had talked actually to each other and that we could have avoided that, the journal would have been in our hands by now. We would not have been the squabbles.
I mean, as a coterie, we do seem to be lacking in the communication department, but that goes for pretty much everyone.
Excuse me, I have communicated all my findings. Thank you. And so did you about the black market. We have not failed in that regard.
I wasn't saying we failed. I'm just saying in general. If one person fails, we all fail.
I see your point.
If you're gonna
at the same
fuck up,
time,
fuck up together, because you're going to be in trouble regardless.
Don't quote me on that blind faith on a group. I came here to do a job, and I wish I had done it. I was now held within the information, and now I need to revise the terms and concepts of my contract.
I mean, it's not really blind faith when it's staring you in the ass.
Fair, you have a point. But do you have any more questions about the occults? There's a lot of politics involved in that.
Yeah, but I don't think they're all going to get answered in one night.
I mean, I'm open for researching with you if you want to. Would always be a pleasure.
I mean, if we're gonna ride this, crazy train, might as well become the conductor, right?
That's one way of putting it.
But so you don't have any like other contacts or retainers or anything that could get us anything, like maybe the clan would have something, or without giving out too much information.
In the FBI? No, I have no such contacts, no. My only contact was to get the boy safely out of my hands so I don't need to stare at him in the future. Or lest he become a stone in my shoes when I need one. But we do have everything we need, and we can still use him as bait. I think we just need to organize. We know who is with. We know where he's at. We just need to go and get it. There's not much we can do, actually, on that regard. It's fairly, very simple. People just need to get their unbeating hearts out of the headlock.
Well, or might as well go all in, but somebody has to know something. Somebody, But I'll take your lead on this.
I mean, I think it would be good for you too. I think you have better contacts than me on that regard. Because you may have something that we can use as an equipment to set up an ambush. I do know that's not usually my area of expertise. That would have been Emeric's area of expertise, but bloody soccer decides to disappear now. And we lost the van. And it's his fault.
His number. At least he won't. The least he'll do is not answer.
He's not answering. He gets in that way when things don't go according to his plans, but it's his own bloody fault. If he had spoken to us, and he had time. By the way, that kind that y'all brought was very rude. Very rude. Very fun to poke scare out of, but very rude.
It was just a kind.
A drunk one. Very rude one.
I honestly, no offense to this, but I wouldn't want to hang out with your friends if he was considered rude.
You are very, very wrong if you think that I have friends.
No, you gotta make this all fucking depressing and shit. Dude, come on.
Depressing as shit. My friends are my box. I've been raised in a hospital. Do you think where I have friends? My friends are dead. You are my friend. Can I count you on that?
I mean, yeah. I suppose, yeah. But
and he says all that with a smile.
Wouldn't I be considered a dead friend too then?
Yeah, probably. But I am also dead, so we're all dead together, and that's what matters, I believe.
Oh, I could, if, like I said, the worst thing Emeric will do is not answer the phone, but I could try to give him a call one of these nights about the journal. I'm not even going to bother about the salubri at this point.
I mean, honestly, if you're not interested in getting into the politics and intricacies of the city and clans on this weekend, it's better not. We need to focus on this. Maybe we can find a little bit more secrets. Or if you're Nikki enough on Saturday, but I don't know. I need to see if my schedule will be open for that, yeah.
Right. Like, I'm open for whenever.
Good. Then let's go. Let's start you on some kindred politics and occult, shall we? And he's going to start pulling books out of his bag.
You two spend the rest of your evening going over texts and learning and absorbing knowledge. And now we're going to move to our final scene for the night. It is the night that the coterie agreed to meet, and you have come to the Haven where Leaf, Parker, Wally, Shaun, you're all present. You will note that Emeric is not there, neither is Lanny nor Marigold. But Scott is. And you are all in the Coterie Haven's living room, and the scene is yours.
Well, good evening. How's everybody doing after that night?
I'm doing okay. I made it back fine. Did everyone else?
St. Petersburg by Night is brought to you through collaborations with our partnered vendors, Wolfpack Dice, Ember Fox Dice, Dragon Ink Dice, Bear the Bard, Champs Tramps, Panshi Artista, and Chromatic Creations. Links to our partnered vendors, as well as our Twitch and YouTube channels, can be found on our website, stpbynight.com. The official theme song for St. Petersburg by Night is Vampire by Faith and Failure. You could find them at faithandfailure.com. You can follow St. Pete by Night on all socials with the hashtag St. Pete by Night. If you wish to support our program, you can do so at coffee.com/St. Pete by Night to help keep the stories rolling.
I made it back, at least.
I mean, I can clearly see you two made it back. Yes, there's no pieces missing. Unless our friend. I mean, he was supposed not to be here. I couldn't imagine that he wouldn't want to risk get shot, wouldn't it? Leaf.
Has anyone seen him?
No, I have tried calling him. Saka keeps me on voicemail. We're gonna have an interesting chat after.
Oh, I'm sure there will be plenty of interesting chats with Emeric once he decides to show his face again.
I am willing to let you talk to him first if you promise not to bring a gun.
A gun would be the least of his worries at that point, Wally, but sure, I won't bring a gun.
Thank you. We still have a job to do. And either we like it or not, unless you were willing to take to Mr. I don't know his usefulness over there. He's still part of the coterie.
For now. But anyway, Emeric's actions aside, there's something I'd like to discuss with all of you. I was able to meet with Marguerite, the principal of Faith, the mascot of the Camarilla, and she said that she would be willing to help us get a meeting with the right channels to help figure out the Salubri situation and possibly save Ramona. This is something... Oh, Go ahead, Parker.
I was just going to say that that's good news.
Yes. This is something that I have decided I'm doing. And I would like us all to do it together as a coterie. But I understand that the intensity and messiness of the situation makes it kind of unpleasant to want to be involved in.
You see Scott kind of straighten up a little bit and look to you. Leaf, you realize what that entails, correct? The potential consequences of siding in this fight, in this political fight.
I have lived my entire life as a kindred being hated by most of the clans. So, what's a little bit more hatred?
It's not hatred of the other clans that I'm concerned about. It's drawing the ire of the Tremere.
I already have. I'm fairly certain. By shooting one of theirs.
Not necessarily. Gunshots don't mean shit for us. That can be forgiven. But openly at an Elysium declaring a side in this fight that's likely been going on much longer than most of the kindred in this city have been alive. Because I don't know jack shit about what a salubri is, but the Tremere seem to have beef with them. And from what I understand, the Tremere have a pretty secure foothold in this city. And I'm not sure that the prince is going to want to risk or jeopardize that. And frankly, he looks to Parker specifically and then back to Leaf. I'm not entirely comfortable at you asking for my child to put herself in the front lines of the Tremere.
Well, Scott, I have been doing quite the amount of research and networking with others, and I'm finding out that there are several within the city who are more on the side of the salubri, so I would not be alone in this endeavor. And also, as much as I understand that you are her sire, I do believe that Parker should be able to speak for herself and experience the world for herself.
I agree that Parker is her own person, and she should be able to make her own decisions. But I am not going to subject her to potentially being a target to a clan, an entire clan. That's a tradition right there, Miss Leaf. Accounting. I am responsible for her safety and her education. And I take her safety above all.
There are many ways to go about showing support for the salubri without gaining the ire of an entire clan. And I think that you will be surprised at how many people stand up and are in favor of keeping the Salubri safe and protected in this city. But ultimately, you're right. It is up to you. Under the accounting tenant. So.
He'll look to Parker and tilt his head. Ultimately up to you, but keep in mind, I want you safe. And I do not want the Tremere, you making an enemy of the Tremere. But you are your own kindred. You are your own woman.
I want to help Ramona. Just think about it. What would Gran say?
Gran doesn't have to involve herself in these things.
I have to be able to look her in the face. Ramona needs our help. Our people need our help. We can't just turn our backs on them.
Very well.
May I ask a question of what is going on in here? I want to know what is the vested interest everybody has on this moment, or are we all getting the feeling of the blues or some sort of humanity going on? Are your hearts beating for the moment? Like, what is all this kindness that I'm hearing? Is this the motto of this coterie? Are we willing to help people? What is the vested interest you have in the Salubri, Miss Leaf? Or you just doing this because you want to save people? Oh, you brave our heart, kindred.
The most simplest answer is I told her I would protect her. And now she's kidnapped. And I don't know if she's dead or not. But I made that oath. And I'm not just going to give up on it because this situation's gotten messy.
So it is actually from out the kindness of your unbeaten heart that you are willing to drag the whole coterie to, according to Mr. Scott over there, to a war against the whole clan in the city, or possible multiple clans in the city.
I asked if you wanted to join me. I said I would like it if you would join me, but there's no expectation for any of you to follow me on this path.
Yes, I just wanted to understand the proposition. Like, where is it coming from? What do you expect to gain on it? Are you aware from the risks of it all? Because also I would hate for you as a resource to be spoiled in that way.
As a resource?
Everybody's a resource here, my dear Parker. I don't believe Scott had tell you, but you're here to do a job, right? Everybody's here to do a job. So we are here as assets, professionals, so to speak.
Having a job to do doesn't mean that we can't care about anything.
Does your heart still beat?
Do you still think emotions come from the heart?
No, they're from my brain, but my brain said, oh fuck, I have more interesting shit to get to know about than caring about my emotions in this moment.
Scott.
I'm sorry.
Scott smirks at Parker as she's speaking to Wally. looks a little proud.
A more complicated answer for you, Wally. The emotional answer, so to speak, is that I came into this lifestyle pretty brutally and very quickly noticed a fuck ton of things wrong with it. And the longer I go on, the more I see a plethora of fucked up things wrong with it. And I want to change that. Maybe not the whole thing, maybe not 3/4 of the thing, but I want to make a big enough dent that beings like us, beings like me, are safe enough to exist in. And not even the Camarilla stands up to what I have in mind.
Interesting. So you're projecting then. Fascinating. Well, be it as you wish then. I will unfortunately abide by my clan's decision. I came here to do a job, and while I applaud you in your quest for a brighter, better future, coming from a traumatic, probably, embrace, I have no interest in have history repeat itself and become a gargoyle. Thank you very much.
What if none of us do anything now to stand up to the Tremere, and they just slowly take over, and you end up becoming a gargoyle, or as something else even worse, because you didn't do anything now?
My, you really believe your clan to be that weak, huh? Tremere is a clan within the Camarilla. As Shaun said to me the other night, if one fails, everyone fails. If you think your clan is failing that hard, so everybody fails against the Tremere, that's not my problem.
The Saluvri was basically entirely wiped out. Everybody thought they were wiped out until just now recently. Any one of the clans could be wiped out by others should they choose it. The Tremere already know that they can wipe out an entire clan. Who's to say that they won't do it to another one in the future?
Leaf, I don't know enough about this beef between the Salubri and the Tremere, but I do know one thing. If the Tremere have this Ramona chick already, you're never getting her back. The second she passed those chantry doors, her fate was sealed. Even the prince doesn't have jurisdiction on what happens behind those walls. It's probably why Emeric retreated. He's probably there with them right now, because he knows he's safe there. You can say what you want to speak for the Salubri that they don't yet have. But in the case of Ramona, you've already failed. And I don't say that with any malintent or admonishment. It's just a sad reality.
See, there's nothing much you can do right now.
But we can help the rest of them.
You can. You could help the rest of them.
I understand what you're saying, Scott. But I'm not going to quite give up entirely on Ramona just yet.
Scott stares at you, Leaf, for several moments and just smirks a little bit. You would have been a good Bruja.
Leaf's eye twitches slightly before smirking a bit at him. How ironic that you say that.
Why do you think he would have been a good Lasombra? I strongly disagree with that.
Out of character, can you repeat what you said? Because I don't think I actually, me as the player, heard you correctly.
Wally, so you said how ironic that Scott thinks that you would have been a good Bruja, and Wally's like, why do you think it's ironic? Do you think Scott would have been a good Lasombra?
Okay, yeah, I did not hear the Scott part. No. Just experiences with other Bruja in the past.
We're each our own special little snowflake.
Something like that.
And together
Well,
we make an avalanche, right?
Very powerful one.
well, even if not everybody would stand with me, does anybody have any information that could be useful about the Salubri? And she stares at the two Nas specifically.
Do you mean as a clan, politically, or about our actual jobs?
I mean, in regards to the clan specifically, the history.
Wally, I don't think that Leaf's head's gonna be in the game until the Salubri problem is resolved.
I can see that, and I'm very disappointed right now.
Hence
Oh,
why she
no,
would have
you
made
tell
a good
me.
Bruja.
Now I understood the backhanded compliment. See, now I think you're very smart. But tell me first what you know, then I can compliment that, because if you're so fervently thinking about how the Salubri deserve a place, you must know a thing or two about them, right?
Propaganda always starts with some sort of truth.
I know that the Salubri were the healers of the kindred, and were viewed as the most empathetic and good of all the clans. I know that back in the 1200s, when the Tremere is when the Tremere began telling all of kindred society that the Salubri were soul stealers and that their kindness was a mask. And then I know that they were swiftly hunted into extinction very soon after.
Is that all?
Yeah. It's a lot of the major points of it.
Then why you need me again? I believe you have learned, I don't know. I was going to ask how old are you, but then looking at you, I believe you had a history class once in your lifetime and probably a very good sense of self-awareness or critical sense. What happens when the story is told from the perspective of who wins a war? I believe you can think to yourself anything else aside from those informations on true me intentions and all.
Yes, I am aware of what happens when the victors write the history books.
Then why are you asking about the obvious that you know?
I'm just asking if you happen to come across any more information than what I already had. It's not like a philosophical question, Wally. It's just, this is the information I have. Do you have anything to add to that?
In this city, at this moment, no. What I could do is call out some contacts, but I doubt we might find any information unless in a very specific library that might contain information about the clans that the Tremere went extinct on. I mean, you could ask the Semitsi the same things. They're very rare now. But I don't think we get access to the gentry, do we? For such research.
Yeah, even here, after Parker let me know what was going on, I went and checked the Nielsen library here just because I felt like I needed to do some reading on the subject before having an opinion. Anything involving whatever the Salubri is gone. Got pulled from the shelves. Just so happens that the curator of the fucking library is of Clan Tremere, so kind of put two and two together right there.
Yes, I almost went to the library myself before I remembered. Okay. Well, great talk.
You're just gonna have to make whatever case you can. Leaf, I mean, hell, you're from a clan that up until recently wasn't even part of the Camarilla and got a second chance. Just my personal belief, but I believe everyone deserves a second chance.
Which is yet another reason I want to help out the Salubri. Yes, many layers, like an onion.
Good to know. La Sombra are like onions.
Do they smell?
I mean, technically we all smell like death, but...
Hey, I smell like antiseptic. Thank you very much.
Anyway, there's also another issue at hand.
Leaf. Just so I don't come across, as Shaun put it, very depressing. Given this city's history, it has a penchant for the improbable.
Yes. I have heard quite a few things about this city in particular. Either the Salubri will be given protection or they won't. But I know that I'm doing everything that I can to help tip the favor in their direction. But that's not the only thing we have to discuss. There is, after all, a journal probably in the hands of the FBI.
Totally in the hands of the FBI.
Might I suggest that we wait for Emeric before discussing retrieving that? As mad as you are with him, we probably still do need him for that.
I was actually given a piece of advice relating to the Salubri situation that might actually come in handy for the journal situation.
And what's that?
To communicate with others and try and work together in the context of more than just the coterie.
But I thought we weren't supposed to tell anybody about what we're doing.
I understand that. But we can talk to the person who gave us the job.
And what is the information that you want, or you're just going loops to say that we need to talk to Carmen?
Do we think, as a coterie, that we can break in to an FBI building and retrieve a journal?
No, that's why we had a plan on using Dennis as bait. I thought we discussed that before.
Yes.
Wouldn't this library
But-
maybe have something on that?
I'm just very hesitant about the bait working.
I mean, could you use the bait to lure out the guy and then just ghoul him?
That was the plan, wasn't it?
Ghouling the FBI guy?
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been awesome. I wouldn't say ghoul him, because, I don't know, it's way too much effort, but at least we do a thing or two on persuasion if the person who could actually persuade someone would have been in the room.
I mean, I'm all for the ghouling. How would that be, like, too much work? Like, he'd still pass as human, as kind, right? We'd have our plant.
I'm just really nervous about that not working.
I mean, if he's ghouled, he has to do what you say. He's basically a slave, which, not the biggest fan of that, but yeah.
I mean, you have a ghoul yourself. How you do not know how ghouls work?
You guys are getting the complete wrong thing here. Before we jump down my throat. That's just... What I'm trying to say is I don't even think that he will come out to meet our bait. That's what I'm concerned about. That plan not working. So I just want to discuss a backup plan in case that one doesn't work.
Which is?
If this becomes too big, I think that we should talk to Carmen. Because a lot of rash decisions have been being made lately, and things are getting messy, and there's a lot going on, and now is not the time for us to get ahead of ourselves and make a giant mistake.
Like making promise to a stranger that you were going to save them, and then another coterie mate going off the rails and making another plan, not telling anyone, and having all this done. Sort of rash decisions, you mean?
Yeah, I really think that the communication factor could be worked on. And we have time to talk about it now?
We kinda don't. We're missing a person. And if we actually want this communication to work, that needs to be planned with him in the room. Or we either disperse, we can either kick him out altogether. That's your point.
Wally does have a point there, Leaf. Can't really do the communication if Emeric's not here.
He can go and do it again. Like, we're going to have the same problems if Emeric's on the same page as us.
He might be at Elysium on Sunday. Maybe you two can hash it out. Give the court a nice show. And then we can all reconvene again and start making a plan.
I just don't know if I would ever be able to trust him again. And rely on him to work in all of our best interests.
Well, that's gonna have to be a talk for when he's here. And a decision you'll have to make after you've had that talk. Like I told Parker this the other day, and it's like I tell my guys every week at group. You gotta hear both sides of the story before you go fight in the yard.
What do you all think about Emeric and what happened?
I mean, you pulled a gun on him.
And he tried to dominate me. Let's not forget misdeeds of everybody in that van. But he's the reason we lose the car.
I mean, everybody kind of freaked out because he took a wrong turn. I mean, you gotta...
He was taking us to a secret location. My dear, how did you survive that long in the military, trusting on that?
I'm just looking at, like, I've played both sides of the field, fucking devil's advocate and all that shit. Just, like, I don't jump to conclusions because that can get your ass killed quicker than not doing anything.
Playing devil's advocate
Yeah.
isn't wrong.
One wrong turn doesn't mean he was trying to betray us.
I have never seen Lanny make a wrong turn. Ever.
Yeah, well, kind of.
And I was very specific. I was very specific before we got in that car about being taken straight to Marguerite's.
Leaf. You guys need to talk with him. The Tremere have their own inter-clan politics, much like every clan has their own inter-clan politics. The Lasombra have their own shit. The Nosferatu have something that no kindred in the world will ever understand except for other Nosferatu. Even us Bruja, we've got our shit. The Tremere, probably just as complicated. We don't know his side of the story yet. Like I said, everyone deserves a second chance. I say we hear him out. We let him speak his piece. And then we get back to work. Does that sound agreeable to you, ma'am?
Yes. Fine.
Until then, you've got another fight that you're about to pick, which is dealing with the prince and his council. So, think about what arguments you want to make, because that's not going to be an easy fight. And he looks at Parker. Both of you should actually get together and do that. Since you guys are so keen to give these people a second chance. But until then, focus on the battle ahead, and we'll worry about the job after this fight is fought.
All right.
And with that, we're going to actually head into our real last scene of the night.
Hey, I'm Emeric Vale. Well, actually, I'm Wex. I play a character named Emeric Vale, and tonight I will be meeting with the Tremere Regent.
I am Kent, also known as Misha Kent on all social media. I am the lead storyteller of St. Pete by Night, but tonight I am playing the Tremere Regent, Adamar.
In our final scene for tonight, Emeric, you have evaded your coterie for a couple weeks now. You have gotten... You did as your regent commanded, and you brought in one of the salubri that was wandering around the city. In doing so, you kind of had to go behind your coterie's back, not telling them the entire truth, because, let's face it, the secrets of the Tremere are your business, and not theirs. And in response, your coterie fled, and your one friend within the coterie, Leaf, shot you as you were fleeing with Lanny. You have a meeting with the Regent tonight, and as you wait, you couldn't help but save the bullet that Leaf shot at you. You dug it out, and now you're staring at it. What's going through your mind right now as you stare at this bullet?
Emeric is sort of still 2 weeks later contemplating the whys. Like, he didn't tell Lanny to make the turn or not make the turn. And, you know, the escalation to pulling weapons and eventually shooting at me just doesn't really make sense to Emeric. Also, the actions of Leaf in general are confusing to Emeric. There's no reason for her to care about this Ramona, or there's certainly no reason for her to offer a major boon for her protection. It just doesn't make sense. And he's starting to feel like he knows her well enough to know that she's not kind. And she's far enough away from her humanity that if she is trying to do this out of some gesture of goodwill, Emeric would believe it is lying to herself in the best case of scenarios. So these are the things that are going through his mind as he sort of turns the bullets in his fingers and just ponders what she was thinking.
You're seated within the inner chantry of the Tremere here in Clearwater as you contemplate these thoughts. The surroundings around you are mainly bookshelves full of literature, rituals, everything that your heart could want to study within your clan. And as you're seated waiting, the doors open. Adamar, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Adamar walks in. He's about 6 foot even with sandy blonde hair and a sandy blonde beard. He wears spectacles and carries a tome with him, dressed in a very college professor chic with a vast overcoat, tie, shirt, kept very prim and proper. As he makes his way in, he speaks with a very thick British accent. Good evening, Mr. Vale. You wish to see me?
Emeric would stand. Yes, thank you, Regent. I just wanted to talk to you about the current situation with the individual we brought in.
Yes, very good work, that.
What are our plans with her?
Ultimately, to root out any alliances she may have, if there are any others within the city that we must be watching out for, and what they're doing here.
From what she said, there are several. She didn't give me an exact number, but she referred to the group several times. She also, and maybe you can shed some light on this for me, repeatedly said something along the lines of that they were all goody two-shoes and they were not willing to get their hands dirty like she was.
Mr. Vale, what she offered up versus what the truth is are two very different things. That's what I seek to get to the bottom of.
That is fair. That was just letting me know what she had told me. I was wondering if you had any thoughts on that, but have you had any luck getting to the bottom of these? I guess what she has done, or who else might be there?
I've been able to route out little bits and pieces, a breadcrumb trail, if you will, but she is very stubborn, very standoffish, and very resilient. But all things wear away with time and enough pressure.
I can sometimes change people's minds. Make her more amenable, make her more agreeable, maybe make her memories a little bit more conducive to liking us, trusting us even. I can try to do that if that helps.
You have done a great deal, Mr. Vale. The question is how far down this particular rabbit hole you wish to proceed. You have done just as I have asked, but if you proceed much further, you find yourself in a very precarious position. I don't worry about outside associations outside this chantry. I very rarely even step foot outside. Can you say the same for yourself?
If need be, I suppose I could, but I would prefer to find a way that, I'm planning on speaking to my coterie tomorrow and seeing what the hell they were thinking. But beyond that, I think I want answers for myself. If I have to hide in the chantry for a while because of that, I'm okay with that. Or at least, Emeric would look around at all the books. There are plenty of things to learn.
Oh yes, you can keep yourself very busy here for a very long time. I think for the moment, the best thing to do would be to keep yourself as an arm's length away from this issue as best as possible until we see how the city chooses to respond. There are those who would not believe what we are doing is in the protection of the Camarilla, but they are wrong.
I agree. But there is a thought that had crossed my mind. I am certainly not as well versed as you are in these things, and I know only bits and pieces that I picked up over my travels.
Speak your mind, Mr. Vale. You've earned that much.
I was wondering if keep your friends close and your enemies closer, if it would make sense for us to surprise everybody. Perhaps suggest that we welcome the rest into the city. That seems like a thing that I think no one would expect. And then we would know exactly how many there are, or close to it. We'd be able to track them.
How much do you know about the Salubri, Mr. Vale?
Oh, not a ton. I know the history that we have with them. I know our origins. I know that there's a lot of information out there on what they think and what we think, and mostly what we think, which is how I'd like to keep it, candidly. But it's, really, I think, depends on how many of them there are. But I don't know. If you have thoughts that I have not thought of, then I would be more than happy to be educated.
The Salubri are a representation of a fictional belief, a denial of what we are. They would seek that other kindred turn away from what makes us what we are, the truth of what we are. They preach fiction, whereas the Tremere preach science and fact. They are called soul thieves, and this is not just rhetoric, this is not just propaganda, that is what they are. They lead you into a belief of morality and humanity. They would preach the lie that you could turn away from what you have become. And it is all falsehoods to lead you into the traps of their beliefs to be easily manipulated. If we introduce them to this city, not only do we allow them to openly preach their beliefs, but they could turn the very city itself against us. They have a vendetta, whether it is reasonably earned or not. They have an agenda that they would push to see us removed. There are those who still call us interlopers, those who stole the blood. And whether they're right or not, it's irrelevant. The Camarilla, kindred kind, needs us more than it has ever needed the Salubri.
I agree. I was just offering a way we could get the information we want. Are you planning on addressing the court, I guess? Making our planned stance known, as it were?
I'm not interested in what the court thinks. I'm only interested in what the prince thinks. The prince is in a very, very precarious situation. These invaders, these trespassers, have violated at least one, if not many, traditions by their very being here. If the prince wishes to be respected as an upkeeper of the traditions, he must understand that if he lets this slip, what's to stop a group of Zemitzi or Sabbat or anarchs from just passing over the borders and going unregistered, unchecked, and taking up residence within our city? It makes us look weak in the eyes of the greater Camarilla. It makes us look irresponsible. So yes, I intend to make my feelings known, and I cannot support actions that would threaten the foundation we have built here.
I think we're on the same page, very much so. There is some information that might be useful. It's not so much that, no, it's not only, rather, that they have failed to adhere to our traditions. They let Ramona, the one we've captured, I assume you've got her name by now, they let her run free, and when we tried to talk to her about what the traditions were and if she was following them, she didn't even know what they were. So that's at least accounting as well as the hospitality domain.
Oh, there are many, many issues at stake here, my dear Mr. Vale. And they are not the only ones. It seems many members of the Primogen, as well as the deputies under the sheriff himself, have allowed this to proceed unchecked for far too long. There is a disruption to our very architecture, to our order within the city, and that needs to be addressed by the prince.
I agree.
So if his own assigned individuals can't do it, we will, to show our loyalty. Clan biases aside, history aside, order must be kept, or else we are no better than our neighbors to the north. And I will remind the prince that yes, we have been at the greatest risk of anarch insurgency as we stand vigilant at the northern border and protect it.
What would you have me do? I can advocate. I can try to win the ears of those within Elysium to the problems of allowing the Salubri in. I can stand back and do nothing if that's what you like.
From what I can tell, the prince plans to hold a gathering of the city to hear the will of the kindred within the city. If this is to be done, then we should make our will known, and we should have those who would support our beliefs speak up. However, doing so puts one in a very precarious situation in the eyes of those who disagree. Mr. Vale, I would trust your instincts. If you feel that this cause is just, if you feel that we are right in what we say, in what we believe, then make your will known and gather the support of others who would stand with you. If our voices are heard the loudest, then this threat will be dealt with as it should have been from the first moment they were found.
I have some ideas. I will see what I can do.
Wonderful.
There are two other issues I'd like to just talk to you about if you have a few more moments.
I have all the time in the world for our family.
There was a individual, I guess high-ranking member of the Church of Scientology. Dr. Dottore was going to arrange a meeting. I've been waiting to hear back, and I've not heard about that. I don't know if you've heard anything or if you know anything about that particular situation. There was a necklace involved with what appeared to be a spent bloodstone. It was also a lot of diamonds, but the big centerpiece was the concerning bit, I think.
And who had this necklace?
Let me check my notes. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Unless Crafty has it.
This was pre-recorded, so for PR reasons, I cannot state this individual's name because he is a real person, so we're just going to call him Bob.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, his name is Bob, I think. Bob Roberts, maybe? I don't know.
Bob Roberts.
And he has a necklace of one of ours.
Yes, it was... Yes. Well, yes. It's the short version.
They've possessed it long enough. It should be of no concern of ours. The magics should have left it, leaving it simply a bauble. Nothing to concern yourself with.
That was my thought as well. All right.
Likely a relic of a bygone era of former leadership that is no longer something to concern ourselves with. I must say, in regards to current events, if things go badly, we have ways of expressing our displeasure without threatening our position. I know that this city is a bleeding heart based off of a foolish socialist dream. There is a way we can make our displeasure known, even if it means withdrawing our full support.
Understood.
As for the time being, I would like to know the thoughts of your fellows, those that you travel with. What are their feelings about this whole situation? Have you heard anything leading up to the events of Ramona's capture? Where do you think they will weigh in?
That is complicated. I think Wally, I've known him for some time, and he's very practical. He, I would imagine, does not see the value in supporting Ramona or her clan. Shaun, I don't know. Shaun is fairly new. It seems to will go with the flow, as far as I can tell. Parker's quite literally a baby in all aspects. And a Bruja. She absolutely could take up a mantle, I guess, in this scenario. Leaf is... She's too close to oblivion, I think she would say, to really have feelings that she's portraying. I can only assume she has some other motivation that I don't know about for supporting them.
She is at greatest risk for the lies that they preach. If she is seeking to find her way back from what she has lost, she is seeking to regain her humanity, then she might see some benefit in trying to support them, to bring them back. But it's a fool's notion, to say the very least.
I agree, and I'm fairly certain I can convince her of why it's a fool's notion. But I have
And
to.
you should do
talk to
so.
her.
I believe there will be some time before the prince starts hearing arguments. If you can dissuade her from making an argument for their presence being accepted, that will only help our case further.
I will do my best.
The Tremere gave them this city to rule. Our Justicar ratified this city's existence. By accepting the Salubri into the city, they are slapping our dear Justicar in the face, and he will not be pleased about this.
Well, I will. Like I said, I will do my best. There's one other matter that I need to talk to you about.
Of course.
How much do you know about the Second Inquisition?
More than I would care to say, but what do you need to know?
This is a sensitive matter, Adamar. I was in Vienna 15 years ago. I was very recently embraced. I got out, and I did not know what happened to my sire until very recently. I traveled around a lot looking for hints that she might still be around. I'm keeping my head low because technically still under accounting. And, I did not break any traditions. I followed the rules. I learned as best I could. I was recently able to get a hold of her with a ritual studied actually in this very library. She's being held. I don't even know where it is. She doesn't know where it is, but she's being held somewhere by them.
So she survived.
She did survive. But she was in torpor for some time.
And she's one of the lucky ones. We lost many, many very dear cousins to that particular raid.
I am very keenly aware. I was in the chantry when it happened. If it was not for Miriam and blood magic that I am not even familiar with at this point, that I would be gone. But I was instead transported to safety.
So what would you like to know about the Second Inquisition?
I think I have a lead on one of their potential members, a person who's likely Second Inquisition. How to capture them, bait them, extract information from them. And then, after that, what it would take to rescue, and Emeric would pause and sort of look away. Or if nothing else, Miriam did ask that I destroy the facility and her. I would not want to do that. But she's concerned about the fact that they know about her. But they, as far as I know, have known about us for quite some time, so I'm not sure it's actually that much of a breach of the Masquerade. But that is, I think, a semantic question. I would like to rescue her.
They know a great deal more than they would let on. And yes, rescue should be the first priority, destruction the last. If all else fails, that is the bare minimum of what we should accomplish, but we should always strive for higher. We are not a clan of bare minimums.
I agree. As I said, I fully plan to save her first and foremost. But where do I start? Do I start with this one lead I have? Should I ghoul him? What do you think is the best approach there?
I think a bond could be useful. It loosens the tongue. It makes them a little more forthcoming. I think the best leads to root out would be the associations. The Second Inquisition always has a cover. They use the same means and methods that we do to obscure their presence. Looking for facilities that are well armed and guarded but are not militant in nature, sometimes tied to the church, sometimes tied to industry. Looking for places that use a great deal of power to keep running, a lot of energy, as these facilities usually have advanced technology and weaponry within inside that require a lot of resources to maintain.
Understood. That's at least the place to start.
They are not too different from us, you know. While they would preach that they have the moral high ground, while they think that they are doing what is right, they operate in the same means that we do. They use a lot of subterfuge, a lot of lies and deceit. They operate under the cover of their own just purpose. They will not be outward or upfront about it. They will also have strong ties to the government.
Yes, this individual, I believe, is FBI. Which makes them disappearing difficult.
Well, the Inquisition is just simply a smaller part of the FBI. It is a deep-seated organization buried under legal terms and paperwork that allow them to maintain a cover within the greater scheme and scope of things. Look into this individual, this contact, this one that you have captured. Find out everything you can. Find out what they
captured this
know.
one yet. I'm planning to try and capture them.
When you do, break their mind if you have to uncover what they know. It's unlikely that they will know everything, but it will be a little, and that is a lead, and that is enough.
Thank you, Adamar.
You have my full support in this endeavor, and if there's anything that I can help you with or assist with, I am happy to do so.
I will keep you updated when I know more. Would you
Proceed with a great deal of caution. Do not act rashly. Do not act spontaneously. Recklessness will be your downfall.
I have no intention of acting recklessly. I've seen firsthand what they can do. I'm not going to throw myself away, but I am also not going to give up.
Nor should you. Plan first, always.
Always.
And with that, we will bring this scene to a close. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of St. Pete by Night Mementos. We'll see what the fate of the Salubri will be at our Elysium event, and whether or not they will be allowed to stay within the city. Until then, we'll see you next week, and thank you for watching.
This has been a St. Petersburg by Night production. Mementos is produced in agreement with the World of Darkness and Dark Pact. The storyteller for Mementos is Nikki. Tonight's characters were voiced by Lisha, Wex, Rowe, Panshi, and Lilith. Visit our website at stpetebynight.com for more information about all of our productions and how you can become part of our community. Thanks for listening. Until next time, fangs, stakes, and claws out.